This is going to be quite a ride. I want to acknowledge Kim, and this is one of the reasons why I say it's going to be a ride today. Kim actually sang at my center in California 25 plus years ago. She also sang when we were at Centennial Arena. Centennial Arena, is that what it is? Yeah, park, whatever that place is. Anyway, she sang there. And I want to thank you so much for that song and for how you sang it. This talk was born out of that song, in the sense of I was trying to find out how to come up with what I wanted to talk about today. And that song came to mind, and then the entire talk came together just like this. So thank you. I also want to acknowledge a couple here, and many of you will remember Dorothy Bonshore. Well, Dorothy Bonshore's granddaughter is here today, and I married her and her husband 10 years ago. And so they are here, and I want to welcome them especially. So the title of the talk today is, what comes after this? And I think, oh no, I've forgotten something. I must do something else. When I was leaving to come here yesterday, a friend of mine, whose name is Dwight Point, said to me, "Pray for me." And I said, "Okay, I will." And he said, "Now don't lie to me." I said, "I wouldn't lie to you. Of course I'll pray for you. How will I know?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to get the entire community to pray for you. So I'm going to ask you to join me, and I wonder if, when we do this, are you able to turn around and face show what the congregation is doing? So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you, don't do it now. We want to save it for the big moment. Okay. I'm going to ask you to do this. Not yet, not yet. I'm going to ask you in a minute to do this, and I'm going to ask you to say OZM. Does everybody know that? Okay. OZM. Okay, so this is for my friend Dwight Point. I'm going to ask you now. OZM. Got it? Okay, thank you. I told him that I would record this and prove it to him, so. Okay, title of the talk is What Comes After This? So here we are. What comes after this? I'm going to ask you to start in a very different way than normal. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again. And again, take one of those wonderful breaths in and out. And I'm going to ask you to reflect on something in your life that is a challenge. Some place where you feel tender and troubled, perhaps. Some place in you that is maybe a bit raw. Where, as my friend Penny says, it's a bit itchy-scratchy. And just hang out there for a moment and feel that place. Feel where it is in your body. Maybe even get a sense of not only where it is, but what it's like. Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it vibrating? Is it dark? Is it bright? Just stay with it for just a moment. And now I'm going to ask you to suspend any disbelief that you have about what I'm going to share with you, any skepticism, any hesitation in opening up to what I'm going to teach today. I'm going to ask you to allow yourself to be held in a cocoon of what I will call proximal knowing. That is to say, you're there and you're saying to yourself, I almost know this. I almost get this. Hold yourself in that place of almost knowing, just on the edge, as we go into our talk today. When you're ready, just open your eyes, come back. And here we are. In my work, I meet lots of what I would like to call ordinary people who are extraordinary. And I'm going to tell you about one of them today to begin this talk. Her name is Gay. She passed away during the month of May, and I met with her family recently, and we were talking about Gay and about her life and her impact on them. And they said, my mother was always available to do whatever needed to be done. When we were little, we lived in Powell River. So this was in the 60s. Powell River was a very much smaller place, and a small detachment of the RCMP. And the man across the street from them had shot himself. And as always happens in small communities, people are a little bit closer and tighter. And so Gay went across the street to the house where the man had died. And there was a very preliminary investigation, but it was quite obvious what had happened. And so the police called the case closed and had the body transported. And then they said, well, I wonder who's going to clean up this place. And so Gay stayed and cleaned the blood, the bits of brain and skull. She stayed, she got down on her hands and knees and washed away everything, restored the house to order. Restored the house to order. The symbolism of the house I use intentionally. She never spoke about what she experienced doing that, but what I know she experienced as a result of her work was joy. She might not have recognized it, she might not have called it that, but that was the fruit of the action that she took, to feel joy of service. In order to experience that joy, however, she had to walk through a very important place. She had to walk through that place of equanimity. And by equanimity, I mean, and it's a very big word, by equanimity, I mean a recognition of this is what is. This is what is. She also had to step into a mindset that I'm sure as well she did not have a name for, but I have a name for it. The name is theophany. You are all familiar with the word epiphany. When I tried it out on Jill earlier this weekend, she said, oh yeah, it's when I get boom, you know? Fire, wow. And in Greek, epiphany comes from two words, Epi, meaning all around, everywhere. And phanein in Greek, which means to show up. So the epiphany is when everything shows up all at once. And that's what Jill was talking about, that boom moment. Well, theophany is the same. Phanein, to show up. But theos in Greek is God. So a theophany is when God shows up. Now, I happen to be a good religious scientist, and so I know when God shows up. And I'm sure you'll agree with me, God shows up everywhere. Everywhere. Even in those moments of pain and loss and grief, even when everything seems to be going to that place in a handbasket, God is present. God is showing up. It's showing up in you. It's showing up in everyone in this room. It's showing up in every event and every circumstance. God is showing up all the time. Our readiness, however, to see God, our unwillingness to see God, might be the issue. I will not get into things about unwillingness to see God, or even unwillingness to say the word God or think the word God, because that's a whole other workshop. Not a sermon, not a talk, not a lecture. But here's what I know. If you want more out of life, you have to give more to life. And giving more to life means seeing those moments that come along as places where we can know ourselves and God more fully. And accepting those moments through equanimity. And then, and this is the whole point of this talk today, transcending. Transcendence is a really old idea, but it is very, very poorly understood. We have come to think of transcendence as, I'm here and this thing is happening, and I'm going to transcend this experience. And what that means is I'm going to leave that experience behind. Transcendence is not leaving things behind. Transcendence is taking those things and moving forward and bringing them with us. There is no leaving behind your past. There is transcending your past. Your past, well, first of all, it doesn't exist. Only the memory of it exists, and that's the key. What you hold in memory must be transcended. It cannot be what you are living today, though you must carry it with you. But you must live, as it were, beyond that which is your past. Now, most of us think that we're all living beyond our past, but we often think that we are living without our past. And that is not the truth. Number of, can I move? Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. A couple of years ago, I was influenced by, now, steel yourselves for this, I'm going to say it. Jordan Peterson. Did I heard it right? I was influenced by Jordan Peterson to read Erich Neumann's book, The Origin and History of Consciousness. And one of the things that really struck me and continues to strike me is how profound, how deep our consciousness goes. You know, you have within you the history of thousands of years of thought. It exists within you intact. What our ancestors knew of matriarchal society is alive and well in you. Now, we may have transcended that experience. We may no longer be living in that structure, but that structure still is within you and informs you. This last 15 days, I was living an experience. A fellow from Unity in Vancouver announced that he was doing a workshop on hypnotherapy. And he was looking for people to sign up for the workshop. Well, I did not sign up for the workshop. And I contacted him and said, I won't sign up for the workshop, but I want a session with you. And he said, why don't you want to go to the workshop? I said, I don't like people. Well, I said, and then I had to qualify and say, no, actually, I like people, sort of individually in small groups. But when they're together in a big gaggle, I kind of, this is different, because this is not, let me back up a little bit. And this is a kudo to your spiritual teacher here. My friend David Leonard, who many of you will know, is a religious science minister in Huntsville, Alabama. And he was telling me a story about one of our great teachers, Stuart Grayson. And Stuart Grayson met him one day and he said, David, you do call yourself David, don't you, and not Dave? And he said, yes, I am David. He said, David, you must understand that you are the guru of your ashram. Tamara's smiling because I've said to her, Tamara, you are in the process of creating here an ashram. This is not the church I sought to create, because I don't like people. But Tamara loves people. She loves community, she loves connection. And she is in the process of creating an ashram here of hearts and minds that love one another and support one another. It is her gift to do that. So, now I forgot where I was going. Oh, yeah, no, that was it. That was the David Leonard thing. Anyway, the point of this.
The book you read based on Jordan Peterson's talk. Hypnotherapy session.
Thank you so much. I saw you and I thought, she's listening. Okay. Yes, the hypnotherapy session. So about 15 days ago, I started this, and I did go to him for a session. And we did Reiki, which I'd never done before, and that was amazing. An hour and a half of Reiki. On him. And then I came back day before yesterday for the hypnotherapy session. Another hour and a half. But what I understand as a result of that is that those teachers, our parents, our siblings, everything lives inside of us. But it lives inside of us so we will integrate it into ourselves and then transcend it into the greater version of ourselves. The version of ourselves that is being called into being in every moment by those theophanies that we encounter. And by the equanimity that we bring to those encounters by saying just simply, this is what is. And the fruit of that is this transcendence into joy that Dave felt just in being of service. I told Jill yesterday that what was the most peculiar thing, and I feel it powerfully right now in this moment. After my 2 sessions, I was very, very aware that I was living a different life. I had literally transcended what those sessions were about into a higher level of understanding that was not available to me earlier. And the way I was aware of it was not because something was added to my experience, but because something that had been my experience had been removed. My only way of explaining this is to say this. Have you ever been in the car listening to the radio and you can hear the song that's playing, but there's static? You know, whatever's going on, there's a lot of background static, and you're not really enjoying the song because there's all this noise in the background. Well, it feels as if I have been living my life with static. And all of a sudden, the static is gone. And what this reminded me of so clearly was we're all looking for something more to be added to our life. I mean, that's what drives almost our entire society. Well, I gotta have more. I gotta put more in. I gotta have a bigger house, a better house, a new car, a new person. I've got to have something that expands my experience by adding more to it. That is exactly the wrong way to live. We are, as expressions of God, the fullness of experience already, the fullness of potential expression. We are that right now. It's our birthright. But there's stuff in the way. There's things. You're young. You don't have as much stuff in the way as I do. Well, I'm telling you, don't add too much stuff. Because all you end up doing is having to get rid of it all anyway. Do you know that we have so much stuff that we now pay rent to keep our stuff? Well, we're doing the same in our lives. We are paying with our life force to hold on to stuff that we do not need. So, there is a quote from Julius Caesar. It goes like this. There is a tide in the affairs of men which leads on to fortune. Omitted all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea, are we now afloat? We must take the current as it serves, or lose our ventures. We live in a time of unprecedented challenge. I was born in 1947, and I have lived in a world of constant expansion, growth, and prosperity since I was born. And we now live in a world where that is being undone. And it's one of the most challenging times I think any of us will ever experience. I call it the full sea that Shakespeare called it. It's a full sea of challenge and struggle But it is that place where we are, where we can create the most good. Number one, equanimity. Accept that this is what it is. Number two, know that we can transcend it, and that on the other end of it is joy. Not happiness. Not happiness. Happiness is elusive. You get a new car, you're happy for a while. Get a new person, you might be happy for a while. But joy is a divine quality. It, like love and good and truth, is what you are. And that is your birthright. So to transcend is to transcend into joy by way of equanimity. The most interesting figure for me from Julius Caesar is Brutus. Brutus, when he was defeated by Mark Antony and died, Antony stood over him and said, "This was the noblest Roman of them all. All the conspirators, save only he, did what they did for the good to come to them. But he did what he did for the good of the Republic." The Republic is the idea, the embodiment, our country, the Republic south of us, the government and people of Ukraine, or any other place where conflict is raging. That ideal is what we must uphold. That is what we must strive to know the best of and the best for. But we must do it by first recognizing that where we are is what is. And then strive for the greater good, to transcend that old idea and inhabit a new idea. Today, I have a desire to make sense of the suffering of the world and to transcend it. I will do that with every choice I make, every moment of every day, or I won't. I will do that with each choice I make, every moment of every day, or I won't. Will you go with me now to that place within where we know we are divinely guided, guarded, and supported? Where we are absolutely certain that the good resides. And let us call ourselves the noblest Roman of them all. Let us recognize in ourselves that we are the light bearers of a good that is yet to be revealed, and that is to be revealed by each one of us. Let us own our place in this unfoldment and transcendence of what has been into what is yet to be. Let us stand together. Let us pray together. Let us love together. But most importantly, let us be the promise to and for one another. So ends the lesson, and so it